Welcome to the Champs App podcast. Champs App is your recruiting and development copilot. If you are a player, parent, or coach, make sure to check out more content and tools to help navigate the world of youth hockey at champs.app. Also, if you've listened to the Champs App podcast in the past and it has helped you with your recruiting or hockey development, please tell your teammates and friends about Champs App. It would be even better if you subscribe to the podcast and review or rate us on whichever platform you're listening to or watching us on. On today's episode, I talk with Graham Thomas, head coach of the University of British Columbia Thunderbirds. We cover a wide range of topics, including him helping start the Syracuse women's hockey team, helping train Connor Bedard, the amazing success of the UBC women's hockey program, and his recruiting advice for players. This was a fantastic conversation with Graham, so please enjoy. Before we get to this amazing episode, most folks don't know all the great ways that Champs App can be your hockey recruiting and development co-pilot. So we thought we'd highlight different areas of Champs App in each episode. Today, we're focusing on the Champs App messaging tool, the fast, easy way to send error-free messages to coaches. This tool cuts email preparation time by over 50%, thanks to templates that automatically populate the coach's name, school, email, and key information from your Champs App profile. You can then customize the message to make it your own. If you're sending more than 4 to 5 emails at a time, or plan to send at least 40 to 50 messages throughout your recruiting journey, you should be using the Champs App messaging tool to avoid mistakes with coach names, schools, and emails. Try it for free by logging into your Champs App account. I'm very excited to welcome to the podcast Graham Thomas, head coach of the University of British Columbia women's hockey team. Originally from Calgary, Alberta, Graham played youth and junior hockey in Alberta before attending the Southern Alberta Institute of Technology. His professional experience includes being the head coach at his alma mater, SAIT, and video coach with the Calgary Hitmen. He then came south of the border to Syracuse University, where he was an assistant/associate coach with the women's team from 2008 to 2012. He has been the head coach of the Thunderbirds since 2013, where he has won 6 Canada West championships and holds the record for most wins by a team in the Canada West Conference. Welcome to the podcast, Graham.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, so why don't we start out like we do all of our guests, telling us how you started playing hockey in Calgary and leading you to play, college and university, junior and university hockey.
Yeah, no, I grew up on a farm just outside of Calgary, and we had a pond out there, and that's kind of where the love for the game started. Our neighbor, Lanny McDonald, bought some land off my grandpa, and
I've met him and his mustache, but go ahead.
A fantastic family and a great mentor for me. And so it's somebody that, that kind of got it started early days, just had access to ice and, probably sound a little cliche in Canada, but it's just how you kind of grew up just learning the game on your own and learning the game playing out on the open rink, and there's nothing better. And, so that's kind of where it started for me. Just the love of the game started there, and then just started continuing to take it more serious and more serious. I played, baseball and played a bunch of other sports. And then obviously, everybody had to kind of streamline at some point. And so that's when I did that and chose hockey as my, number one sport, and went to the National Sports School, where you could kind of work on your skills, life skills, off ice training, and on ice training. But it wasn't an academy. You didn't play as a team. You just kind of went there, and it was kind of one of the first of its kind back in 1995. So we did that, and Jennifer Botterill actually went to the program, Amanda Tapp. There's a bunch of females that were in the program, used the program, had great flexibility to kind of continue to train, as well as pursue your academics and have that flexible schedule. And so that's where I went to school there, and then had a short junior career.
I'm actually curious. Do you remember when the Flames won the Cup in 1989, and did that have an impact on you?
100%. I've got a picture with the cup. We as neighbors, kind of my brother and I, snuck over to the cup party and got in and got to meet everybody and got a picture with the cup when I was 7 or 8 or whatever that was. For sure had a big impact. Was there and got to kind of meet a lot of the players and see a lot of the players, and wish I was a little older at the time, but yeah, what an incredible group that was. And definitely kind of just fueled the love for the game even more.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So yes, tell us about your junior career and
Yeah, so
what was
yeah,
that?
it's really I ended up kind of, it seems as my career goes around, I've kind of been a part of a lot of startups. And so the Drayton Valley Thunder and Malandraga Civic and Barrie Midori, we're starting up that junior A program. And I was just going into grade 12, and I had an opportunity, went out to the spring camp, and then got invited back to main camp, and then was given a roster spot, an opportunity to play there. So I was really thankful and get that opportunity to play there. Unfortunately, ran into a shoulder injury. I haven't really had any injuries my entire life in playing and growing up, and had the opportunity to play against the Danny Heatleys and the crew at Alberta Cup, and some great players in my birth year. And was able to kind of go up and move away from home, had some family, lived on another kind of acreage and farm in Drayton Valley, and got to play there for the season. But I got injured, and since I was still a young player, I went back in January, and we didn't make the playoffs that year, so it was a shortened season anyway. So I missed the kind of last month of the season. So I went back and graduated at the National Sports School, and kind of got to go back home there. But yeah, it was too bad. I didn't have a lot of injuries, like I said, growing up. I don't think I had any. And then it kind of got me in junior, and then kind of into a little bit of a pro situation. So me and another Canadian got recruited to go and join another startup, the Young Adler, a Division III school that had a Division I DEL program in Mannheim. And
This is in Germany. This is in Germany, I'm assuming.
Germany, yeah. And so kind of I got recruited to go from there, and thought what a neat opportunity to go there. So kind of went over there and was roommates with Dennis Seidenberg, which, funny enough, now that we're older and have kids, we have sons at the exact same age, and we went to the Chicago Clash and coached against each other. He was with the junior Connecticut program, and we went out there and got to reconnect and coach against each other. It's just a small world. We have sons in the exact same age group, and we ended up playing together in Mannheim and being roommates together. So hockey's a small world, and just the connections you have and are pretty remarkable. But that's kind of where I lost the passion to play a little bit, ran into a little bit of some injury issues again there, and had some opportunities to come back and still go back and play junior or go play college, as a 19-year-old. And I actually ended up hanging him up, which is crazy, but I still loved the game and loved the sport so much. And so I started coaching at a very young age. I started coaching at 19. Kind of a few family members that knew I was back in town and wasn't playing anymore, from the community that I grew up in Springbank, reached out and said, "Hey, do you want to take on our kind of Pee Wee AAA or P1 program and come back to where you played and play?" So I got right into coaching right away, at a young age, and then I just couldn't get enough of it. I was coaching spring teams, coaching in the Hockey Alberta program of excellence. I was coaching, like you mentioned, at the Calgary Hitmen, and had mentors like Kelly Kissio and Dave Lowry and Joel Otto, and get to work and listen and aside these guys, and learn from them. And then I coached the National Sport Academy. So during the day, there's a sport academy where we were lucky enough, we had a male and female program, but started out just male, and athletes that have Hobie Baker winners, captain of Memorial Cups, NHL players, pro players, just an amazing group of players that I got to work with for about 8 or 9 years. So I would do that during the day. I'd also went to Mount Royal and put myself through business school part-time, and then I would coach teams in the evening. So AAA midget, AAA Bantam, whatever I could get access to, whatever I could do.
And so during the day, was that mostly skills development that you were doing with players, like small group or one-on-one training?
Yeah,
so that really must have taught you how to teach somebody actually how to play hockey really well.
Yeah, exactly. I really enjoyed it, and I also enjoyed the life skills aspect of it. So through the National Sport Academy, you'd have one classroom session and work on life skills, and preparing them for the next level, just going learning values and building them up as individuals, which is a big part of what we do today, and a big part of what I do and what we do here as coaches here at UBC. And So that's where we learned that. And then the off ice, I became a strength conditioning coach as well. And so
Oh,
we do
geez.
train them off ice and then have the video coach. And I mean, this is as a young coach, I mean, you just soak it in. I mean, as much as you can do and as much as you can learn from, that's kind of what it was all about.
I'm curious. So, I mean, this is some amazing experience of working with, players from every level,
Yeah.
and across multiple areas of hockey. I'm curious, like, what are your biggest like insights or conclusions that you can share with us, for players going through what those players were going through? Because obviously you've got years of knowledge. What can you impart with them to, as key nuggets from that experience?
Yeah, the one thing, because it's one thing I've noticed, even like when I came out here to Vancouver and got an opportunity to coach with like a Fraser Minton and work with him for a few years and a few springs, and it's just to never give up. Like there's a lot of players that had a lot of hype, are very talented, extremely great players. But what I've noticed over the time, it is a grind, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. And when you're working in a skill, like, academy model, it's just about developing the well-rounded, developing the 200-foot player. As I think those are players that will kind of excel at the next level and be able to move on, that have a better understanding for the game. It's a lot of right now, it's like pushing like the skills, the skills, the skills. You see it on social media, you see it on everywhere, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's important. But I think teaching the hockey IQ side of the game, the players learning how to implement those skills into game situations, learning how to take care of themselves on and off the ice, learning how to deal with distractions. Like we were teaching players about, alcohol and drugs and this and that, and bringing in speakers and, what is it like, and bringing in some real life players or people that have gone through, made life, unfortunately some poor decisions that happened to them, and drinking and driving, and how that there's just so many distractions as you become older as an athlete, that you got to manage, and you got to learn how to navigate as you go through if you really want to make it to the next level. And I think so. It's not just about the skills and the talent. Obviously, that has to be there, but developing athleticism, developing kind of managing, distractions and managing your life off the ice. I think so. Some of those are some of the most important things, those intangibles, that kind of get you to the next level, or will help kind of get you through and to play at a higher level for a longer period of time.
Gotcha. And I'm curious. So, like, obviously working with so many athletes, what is it that you get out of like doing that? Like, so you said that you want to be coached from a young age. What is it
I,
that like that gets you so excited to come to work every day?
yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that's why I don't consider this work what I do. And I put in, I don't even know, 400 or 500 hours of ice time on my skates every year, working with youth right now, and my children, and just even working with a bunch of just random groups. I've worked with so many different groups being out here, male and female, and I just love I love I learn from them, right? And I get energy from them, and there's like their passion for the game, seeing it in their eyes, seeing their love for the game. It just kind of rejuvenate and recharges me, and just helping them get to the next level. Like even if you can just impart, even if you're just working with an athlete for a spring or for a camp, even that alone, if you can find a way to give somebody some knowledge and some experience of, maybe an athlete that I see they're similar to, like, hey, I've coached this athlete, Zach Boychuk, and when he was on the ice with him, he just loves scoring goals, like every single rep, every single practice. I've never been on the ice with a player that has just like loved that. I mean, I was on a little bit with Connor Bedard in the spring with that one spring group, and he had the very similar characteristics, right? He just loved to score. He just loved to be around the puck. He just like every time I was watching this guy, and he was young, and I was out there and he was playing with older players in our group, and I was like, wow, this player just loves the game. And so for me, that just kind of, you know, like I said, recharges me and it excites me. And I bring that to everything that we do, everything here at UBC and everything. I just love working with players, helping get them better, helping them out wherever I can, help them, give them a little bit of tips here and there. And, yeah, it's something that really, fires me up, I guess.
Beautiful. So, how did you end up now at Syracuse? I know
Yeah.
you were coaching, for your
Story.
alma mater, but how did that all happen?
Yeah, it's great. Like I was Ken Babby, I'll credit him. I was coaching his son Joe Babby, and he was kind of a big hockey person. He was the athletic director and men's hockey coach. He's worked with international hockey and been around for a long time. Um, he approached me in the off season. It was late, and Scott Rivet was stepping down from the job. Funny enough, I'm coaching against, just finished coaching against Scott and continue to coach against him in the Canada West. So it's, again, hockey's a small world, and he kind of, gave me some of the ropes on recruiting and just getting involved. And here's the team, and he was stepping with some family reasons just from the game, and Ken kind of brought me in late and did a late interview and said, hey, you can continue to do this on the side as well as continue to coach at the sport academy and continue to do other things. So I said, okay, that sounds great. And I'd worked with some female athletes and some, at the academy as well. So I had some experience with on the female side of the game, but not a lot. It was more so my trajectory at the time was, I'd kind of soft taken a job with the junior A team, the Drumheller Dragons, and at the time too. And so, or
So this is
just
all at State. This is all at State. Well, that you were coaching the women's team, right?
yeah. It's just leading up to that,
Yeah.
and then I ended up deciding to do that and take the job, got offered the job, and just really had a lot of fun around it. Like the thing with the women's game, they just want to be treated like hockey players, and that's the one thing I wasn't sure how to, how the transition is going to go between male and female athletes, and they just wanted to be coached. They just wanted to be treated like hockey players, and there didn't, there's obviously some differences, but within the game, but they were sponges. They loved it. They were so coachable. They just were, and just really enjoyed having a passionate coach who loved the game as much as them, that kind of got things going. And so I really enjoyed that experience and that time. And I just got engaged and just got married in that January of that year. And so I was more kind of a big family guy, and that's faith and family are important to me. And so that was kind of driving our next decision. So there's a funny story. We were on a honeymoon, and classic. I built in we went down to Florida, and on that side, and I built in a coach's, hey, you can stay at the pool and hang out. I can maybe go to this coaches conference. It's in Naples, Florida. We can kind of make it a dual, if you get to know me, I kind of, I kind of operate a little bit like that. Always got something going on. And so anyways, I went there and just kind of like, didn't really know anybody, walked into this world of men's and women's NCAA, and there was very few kind of outsiders that were there outside, attending the conference, which I didn't fully appreciate till I got there. But hey, I just went to the speakers, just got to know people, and then I saw there was some job postings, and that's how it happened for me. I just met a few coaches, were chatting and talking to them about opportunities, and said, yeah, I'm looking, sure, I'd be interested in this or that. And so I met Paul Flanagan, and he was on the men's side as well for a long time, then switched over to St. Lawrence and had a ton of success in the women's game at St. Lawrence. And again, another startup program for me, it seems like, but they were starting up a Division I program from scratch. And this was in like late April, I think, was when this conference was, and they were starting a program that coming fall. And he didn't have coaches in place, he didn't have a player signed, he didn't have a locker room built, he didn't have anything, he didn't have a puck ordered, he didn't have a stick, nothing. So anyways, I met with him, and he was just really impressed with that, that I had a background of, I could set up the video coaching and the strength conditioning side. I could do the skill development with the team and get on the ice. I was kind of well rounded from my experiences of being able to kind of work with forwards, work with D, work with skills, go on, do whatever. And so that's kind of how it worked. And he's like, hey, my AD's out on the beach. You want to meet him? We can have a second meeting. Are you interested? I was like, yeah. I was like, my wife's at the pool at the hotel. You want to meet her too? And like, anyways, it just, one thing led to the other. I never even really knew where Syracuse was on the map, being kind of from Western Canada, and kind of small town, I guess, out of Calgary. And anyways, we ended up leaving there with a job, and we were moving, and came and moved out there in June, and we started a program, and it just like that. That's kind of how it started. So
I'm curious, does your wife still tease you about converting your honeymoon into a career?
oh yeah, it ends up being quite a story. Yeah, she's been great that way. She had a couple brothers that played at a high level. I actually ended up coaching both of them Um, and so she's a, they're a hockey family, and she understood it. And, I think as long as she got to go to Disney World and the Bahamas before that, then she was happy. So, yeah, it ended up working out.
Beautiful. All right. So, what was it like in Syracuse? So, the thing that I love about
Yeah.
Syracuse University is that it is the only school with only a women's program. You got a lot of schools with only men's programs, but not women's program. But Syracuse is the one with just a women's program.
Yeah, it was really unique. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I learned a lot from Paul Flanagan. I've always kind of been that way. I've been able to work with a lot of great coaches and great mentors over the years, and he was just another one for me. He's a family guy as well, and really respect him, and still do. We still stay in touch, and are still, you know, um, staying connected and with each other. And so, yeah, like I said, he really helped me with the recruiting side of things, being a strong recruiter and on the men's side and in the women's side with his experience. It was something that I really needed to kind of open my eyes to, and just learn that whole world it's quite a world, especially at that level, because you're pulling players. You can pull players from really anywhere around the world and internationally. We had a Swiss national team player. Steph Marty was one of our co-captains that year, or captains. And so just, you got players from kind of all over. And so you can kind of recruiting all around the world. And so it's just, it's a big part of it at the university level. And so, yeah, I think he showed me the ropes a lot with that. I learned a lot about the leagues, about just how to run a program, and how to build a program from ground up. We literally built the locker room. We had, input on the design and the weight room and the offices and just everything. I was just a sponge, right? And just trying to take it all in and learn as much as I can, as I went through that experience.
Gotcha. Yeah, and Syracuse, along with St. Lawrence, that you also mentioned, are very good at pulling Canadians. In fact, they have a disproportionate number of Canadians, obviously due through the geography, but clearly also it sounds like based on the heritage of the school. So,
Yeah, exactly. And it was a great experience for me. I've never really been to an NCAA, Division I football game or basketball game, and they're obviously known for those programs mostly. But yeah, it was a real honor to start a women's program there, and like you said, be the only women's program and not have a male program. It was special, and it was definitely, I'll remember a lot of those times and cherish them for sure.
perfect. All right. So we need to keep moving. So tell us how you ended up back in Canada, but one province over.
Yeah. Another crazy story. So um, had a son that was along the way, but he was dealing with some issues with the pregnancy, and so it was my wife would another. She comes back into this story, but yeah, she was kind of struggling. We were in the NICU. There's things going on. I was talking with Paul. It's just felt like it was a time for a change, and he was really supportive of, you know, um, of that. And I was looking around at just different opportunities and options, and nothing was really clicking and opening up things that I thought, to be honest, would be, a shoe-in opportunity, or shoe-in, for me in my experience, like, didn't get that opportunity or wasn't working out. And so it was very stressful. It was very stressful. We're living at the NICU for 4 weeks. We're trying to figure out what we're doing with our lives. I kind of had to pull her aside in one of those days. I'm like, hey, we're moving on from here, from Syracuse. And yeah, I was getting the divorce papers ready, and she couldn't figure it out. And so yeah, we were kind of moving on, and looking for other opportunities. I was looking maybe get back in the guys game, maybe back in the sport academy, or come back to Calgary. And then this opportunity opened up late at UBC, and we wanted to come back to Canada, be back close to family in Western Canada. And so it opened up, and it was a late process in kind of May, early June. And I looked up, and Milan Dragicevic, again, there's that small world again, was the head coach here on the men's side, who coached me in junior.
Okay.
And so I reached out to him right away and learned more about it. And when they flew me out for a visit, and I got to connect with Milan again, and he showed me around the campus and the city. And yeah, and then I got offered the job, and we moved out in July, and we started we started it at the end of August. So another kind of crazy across the, all the way across the continent type thing, moving a family, having our son with us, and figuring things out and learning everything as you go. And it was quite chaotic, quite stressful, but we got settled here, and yeah, was really excited that this opportunity opened up, and we just kind of, it's been history, I guess, ever since.
And if I, right before we started chatting, yeah, I think I understood that you actually drove back from Syracuse to UBC when you actually moved, and you of course included the opportunity to do some recruiting along the way, just like your wedding. Is that correct?
It was. So we stopped in Winnipeg. I think maybe there's some going on in Calgary too at the time. I just really remember that Winnipeg one because I met Kaylee Hay, who ended up being a captain here and went to Balmoral. Tatiana Rafter as well. Like, we just met a few players while I was there that were currently on this team. And Ray, you got to look at it. Like, I was looking at this too and go, okay, you really want to move to this program. I mean, this program was really not on the map, and there's no disrespect to anything before and everything like that. It was a new rink that we're looking at behind you there, was built for the Olympics, and great facilities. You're looking at one of the best schools in the world and in Canada at UBC, but they just hadn't seemed to get the hockey program going. The team had one win the season before. So I honestly didn't know what I was walking into and what kind of challenges were going to be faced. But I was very surprised. I love, like, the core group we had, that were brought in, and that they just all bought in, and we ended up having a record-breaking season in all sports in Canada, and going from one win in the regular season to 17 wins in the regular season to winning a Canada West championship against Haley Wickenheiser and the former national champions. Like, it was just a wild, like, it was literally almost a made for movie type turnaround type underdog season. And it was an incredibly special time and memories that, like I said, I'll never forget.
So that's an amazing story. I'm curious what you attribute. What are the top 2 or 3 things to go from 1 win to 17 wins? Because obviously coaching is one of them, but that can't be the only thing.
Yeah, no, it was. I think it was just this team really bought in. Like, we did pick up a former national team goalie that helped. Danielle Dubé called me and said, hey, she'd like to come help coach. Maybe she's, back and around, and she hadn't played. She come out of retirement. I don't know, last time she played men's professional, maybe was the last time, even, but that was like 10. Don't even remember now. It was she'd been retired and then played, maybe playing Canucks alumni and playing as she was a firefighter. But she called me, and I just said, hey, like, you got eligibility left. Would you consider coming out of retirement and playing? And I kind of convinced her, and we talked about it a lot, and she had a family, and was like, all right, let's do this. We'll be flexible. Let's make this work. And so that was a big one, obviously, having a goalie. I mean, it took her time to settle in and get back to things and learn the women's game, but also just get back to, getting in game shape again and getting back to competing and playing at a high level. And so that was one obvious, factor, but that didn't.
So I'm actually gonna can I quote Pat Burns here, which is, goalie is 70% of hockey. Unless you don't have one, then it's 100%, right? So you had a goalie, so that was 70% of it, right?
Exactly. So the goaltending helped for sure. And but honestly, the group, we had a bunch of players I didn't kind of recruit here, some walk-ons, even like a player like Hanit Parhar, who won 3 out of 5 championships in her year and helped turn this program around, and now is coach with me and won 3 championships as a coach here. It's been really special. But it's players like that, like, just heart and soul players. We changed the culture. We were the worst team athletically on campus, but also academically in the classroom. Like, it was just we had to set standards higher. We had to create a code of conduct, to create new rules, to set a whole new culture and get everybody back on the point of winning isn't okay, losing isn't okay, and started building, like, how to win and what the process looks like to do that. And it was amazing. Like, these athletes bought in to an incredible level that, I never would have imagined. They would do anything for each other and do anything to win and battle and compete and put their hearts on the line every single shift. It's that was a big thing, is the buy-in and the willingness, and we didn't have the most skilled group, and you know, but we just found a way. We just found a way to grit it out and grind it out, and you know, it was literally the players that just bought into every single thing we were doing here, and wanted to make a change. And you know, that's I think where the most powerful part of that change came.
That's just an awesome story. Just to like really, because like the players didn't change that much other than your goalie. So it sounds like, you know, leadership and a little bit of goaltending, and
They were sick of losing.
people wanted.
We
Yeah,
had
exactly.
a bit of a senior group that was like, they were sick of it. There's 2 or 3 vets when I called them in the off season. They're like, they were going to quit hockey. They lost the love of the game. I mean, I get it, right? How do you not? I don't know. Like, we just lost a couple games on the weekend, and we haven't lost back-to-back games at home and in a long time. And like, that bothers me, and I can't sleep, and I'm competitive, and I, you know, hate to lose. And I couldn't imagine winning, like losing like 23 games or something in a season. I don't know what it would do on the psyche and on the mental side, and the you know, the heart for the game. So yeah, I think they were really just sick of losing too, you know, and they're driven to do something with it, and they had an opportunity and had a little belief implanted in them, and all of a sudden it just took off. So it was incredible. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, great. So we kind of quickly covered this, but I want to go into more detail. Talk to me about the University of British Columbia, because when I think of the UBC, I can't tell you how many people have told me they visited the campus, they visited the school. It is like the most amazing place to go to school. It's you know, basically the, you know, Hawaii of Canada. If you know, if you're going to play hockey, that's the place you want to be, because you got the best weather, you got the best school, and obviously you got a pretty darn good team. So tell me what it's like to go to school there, the academics, and maybe talk about the facilities, where they're at now compared to even like when you started.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, imagine you just kind of walk out of this rink where I am now, and you're right on campus, like tree line, you can see the mountains, you can see the ocean, you feel that fresh air right off the ocean. I mean, we're out on that peninsula where we're literally surrounded by water, mountains, and like, you know, parks, natural or government kind of protected parks. Yeah, it's really, you know, the campus itself is really quite a mix of old and new. You know, you got some great old heritage, you know, castle-like brick and, you know, historical buildings, but then you also have these brand new buildings. They're constantly, you know, if you've been to UBC, if you know, for the first time in, let's say, even like 5 years, you'd walk around campus and, oh, what is that? Oh, what is that? Oh, that's new here. So there's constantly growth happening, improvements, technology, building, but it's Vancouver, and you can only kind of have so much land and kind of build up and around. So it's kind of protected that way as well. And but yeah, just a beautiful campus. I've been on a lot of campuses across North America, and it's very unique, right? Where you have the ocean, you can smell the ocean and feel the ocean, and you got the mountains, you got the fresh air, and then it's surrounded on this big, beautiful campus that's you know, really pushing to be one of the most, you know, the green campuses in the world is one of their goals. And so it's just, yeah, it's very healthy campus, and you know, the academic side of things too. It's beautiful with all the facilities and the surroundings, but on the academic side, it's challenging, and it's one of the top ranked schools. So obviously that's a big part of the recruiting, and big part of the athletes we bring here. They need to really value the academic side. I think it's one of the strengths in Canada. One of the strengths at our institution is the education. And yeah, so it's an incredible place. It's an incredible place to be. It's a great community. Get great support from athletic department, from the president, vice president, all the way down, from the top down. So it's a great place to be. You're also around a lot of, we're one of the most winningest programs in history as far as all sports are going, are considered, and all the programs are considered. So you're up in the gym right above us here in the rink, and you're training with, you know, alongside Olympic athletes. Or we've got baseball, we've got MLB draft picks, and we just got some unique sports too, with, you know, track and field and rugby, and baseball and softball and swimming and, some of the sports, golf, like that, maybe don't other schools don't have because of the weather, things like that. We can get to, get to be around some pretty incredible coaches and pretty incredible athletes here at UBC. And, yeah, it just helps, push everybody, to be their best and to get the best out of them for excellence.
Awesome, awesome. And maybe just talk about the facilities and the rink that got built.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. We got three ice sheets. The one
Jeez.
major one behind you, but there's no lack of ice. So we've got three sheets to work with. We got like shooting lanes and an area to like shoot off ice. We got video. We got a gym in there. We got physio. It's great because it's all in one kind of place. You don't have to go from one part of campus to the other. It's like it's all kind of right here. And that's great. We've got a great locker room that was just all built and we made improvements to it constantly. So yeah, the athletes are very lucky and blessed here. And I compared, to a lot of NCAA Division I programs. We got to have the facilities, comparable, if not, better than some of those programs as well that are out there. So it's great. It allows us to stay, competitive and have athletes that can play at that level. Or if we've had a lot of Division I transfers come back that have actually, they've had great careers. They played with the Hockey Canada Team Canada program, and they've come back here because it's just a great, fit academically and athletically, and it sets them up for life after hockey as well. I think that's one thing, that we offer here is, and a lot of times, and it depends, and there's pros and cons to go on NCAA and go on U Sport. I don't think we'll get into that on this call, but fully or dive into that completely. But I think there's a lot of things where you don't have to upgrade when you get back. You can go into, it's a lot of networking. You graduate from a school like this and out of the business school, like the opportunities that you're given, the opportunities that you have to have that resume kind of bumped up to the top of the list, and just to kind of know and wanting to live maybe in Western Canada or Canada, come back. It's just an easier transition. And like I said, the networking between the athletic, alumni and the alumni within the school. It's been great for our alumni and great for our athletes to kind of move into, whether it's a lot of our athletes have gone on to play pro hockey, which is amazing. But then after that, they kind of settle back in, and it really helps them for their life and their career.
Yeah, you just touched on it, but you do have a few players who did play NCAA and came back to Canada. You have a player from Ohio State. You have a player who played at Colgate and Minnesota Duluth, and you also have a player from Brown. So it's not like players, don't know that there's another opportunity to come to the States, but then come back if things either they've used up all their eligibility or things didn't work out the way they had hoped. So.
Yeah, exactly. I think we've had a good, 15 or so athletes that have come back and we get inquiries every year. It's just, the ones that do come back, like, played at a really high level and have done really well, even where they're at in the NCAA. And it's just, they want to, it's an academic fit, it's a lifestyle fit, it's, whatever that they really, what we're doing here in our culture, they want to be a part of it. And I think that's helped us for sure. We're very attractive, for some transfers to kind of finish their careers here and have a good experience and be pushed and still have a good hockey experience, but as well as kind of off the ice as well.
All right. So why don't we just take a moment and talk about your coaching staff?
Yeah, I've been super blessed, as I've been mentioned before, just about the mentors that I've been able to work with. I've coached in the NCAA, the Olympics, and all different levels, and I've learned from them. But I've also been blessed to have like the staff that we have here. So we've always had alumni that have come back and given back to the program. Mike Summer was a big part of developing this program with me for 9 years, who's now in New York in the PWHL. And it's great to see these coaches move on. Even Celine Tardif is at Carleton now, has got assistant coach and got a full-time job and was a captain here and went and played pro for a lot of years. And Pascal Villana, that was a big part of the Hockey Canada and being involved with them. And that was our goalie coach here for 10 years. And now with Lyndon Sammartino moving in and helping out, we got Partap Sandhu, one of the top, works with Pep and some of the top male and female athletes in Western Canada here, and Henny Parhar, as I mentioned. And we've just been really blessed over the years to have some incredible people help out in this program and give back. And I'm really thankful. I think we have one of the best support staffs here, on and off the ice, from our trainers to our, sports psych coaches to everyone. It's just too many names, too many people to mention, but I'm just so thankful for our community, and we have a big staff, and I think the players really, get a lot of positives from that and really benefit from that.
Perfect. All right, we're going to need to start moving on to the recruiting side of things. But before we do that, I know you're the winningest coach in Can West. But when I say consolation final, what goes through your mind?
I'm getting the sweats right now. No, yeah. It's definitely something that we're really working on here. We've obviously we've had every medal, every color, every almost finish you could get at the national level. From being ranked 1 going in to being ranked wherever, outside the top 4 going in, or not being, we've always actually gone in as being in the top 4 because we've always won a championship to go. So maybe that's the key. Maybe we don't go in as the champion, Canada West champions. Maybe that'll get it done for us. But I mean, the more and more people you talk to that have actually won, I mean, we've won a silver medal, won bronze medals. It's a lot needs to go right, and there are obviously things that we need to work on to get better at on the mental side, and dealing with the pressures, and just trying to get the most out of our group in those one goal, one win must win games. Obviously there's things that we're working through. A lot of it really is mental, but there's also puck luck and officiating and goaltending and injuries, and there's it's really hard to be the best and to be the crown the national champion. It's something that I've found personally here, being at 6 of them out of the 11 seasons, and then also just talking to a lot of coaches that have either won it or been close as well. It's like, Jesus, still a lot of little things went right for us, and for unfortunately for us, it just hasn't been our time yet, and some of those little things just haven't come together for us yet. So we're obviously really proud of what we've done and what we've accomplished, but there's still one goal that's sitting there, and we're very hungry and we're very driven to get to that goal.
Yeah, so I'm not the expert on the entire history of your school, but it looked like the way it works when you get to the national finals is that you got to win 2 games to make it to the championship, and it seems like you're not able to win both, and usually when you lose one, it's only by like 1 goal type of thing, and so it sounds like you're
they're very
close.
close, and in that quarterfinals, it's really, that's it. If you don't win the quarterfinals, that I think we've got a good record. We've gone on to win the Pool B champions, or go to the other side and go 2-0 or win that pool. But if you don't win that game 1, it's we'll go home, I guess.
Gotcha. Okay, one other tough question before we get into the recruiting side.
For sure.
What's the hardest conversation that you've had with a player?
Oh gosh. The hardest conversation, I think, I mean, it's always hard talking about performance and things like that on the hockey side of it. There's tough conversations that happen, all the time. And I really like to get close to our athletes and dig in and figure out how I can help them, navigate. And we all have things that we have to, we have to work on, and things that we need to address. And so those are obviously tough conversations with everyone, or sitting a player, or releasing a veteran player at training camp. I mean, it's every year it's competitive and it's tough. Those are obviously tough conversations. Even when I was with the Team BC and releasing players, or just at any point, that's one of the hardest part of the jobs, is releasing players, and toughest conversations. Not a fun part of the job, but I do think the personal side of things, we get really close to our players. We're a family here, and I think some of those conversations, obviously, I'm not going to talk about any of the stories or individual details about any of them. They're private conversations. But I think just navigating life, and life happens, and we aren't necessarily in control of when things happen to our family or family members, or we lost a teammate here, and that was really hard, and that was very tough, and building back from that, and how do we recover from that, and talking to the family, talking to our families and building it from that. I think some of those are the hardest conversations, right? Was when a tragedy happens. We've lost a few alumni to tragedies. And those are just talking with our alumni or just talking with an athlete if they're dealing with something in their own personal life. I feel like that is definitely the hardest part, because you feel for them, or somebody who has a career-ending injury, which we've had unfortunately a few. Those are the hardest conversations, I think, when they have to retire or when something's going on in their life, and you got to help them and work through it. We've definitely had a few of those here, and not fun at all. Yeah, I'd say those are probably the toughest ones.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. Okay, let's go on something a little bit more positive.
Yeah.
And let's go how do you actually do recruiting at U Sports School? Because obviously, not only are you competing with all the other Canadian schools, I'm sure your bigger competition is the NCAA, because your top players probably want to try and get scholarships at some schools here in the U.S.
Yeah, I think it's been quite a roller coaster here. The level of play when I came in 12 seasons ago till now, has increased immensely. In U Sport, the level of play. I was even a part of the U Sport kind of first all-star team that played at the Hockey Canada camp with U22s, and just showed how the top U Sport athletes can compete against the best Canadians that are playing down in Division One. I think it's really changed the landscape and how maybe people view it, and it's just I give a lot of credit to institutions that have hired full-time staffs now across Canada. Like that's what was lacking. When I was at Syracuse, I was a recruiting coordinator for a couple of the years, and you have two assistant coaches, you have a head coach, and you have almost unlimited budget for recruiting. So you're out there, you're making phone calls, you're on the trails, you're going to all these different places, and you're recruiting as much as possible. And you compare that to a U Sports school, who a lot of the schools were still, the coach was part-time coach, kind of like I was at State, and it's you just don't have the time of the day, in a part of your job description to make all those calls, to make all those connections, and to connect with academy coaches or major coaches, and get out there and see the players, things like that. And so I think that was where Canada was really falling behind. And just again, a huge difference in the last 10 years. Institutions, quality wise, hiring full-time coaches, and even now full-time assistant coaches now in Canada, which has made just a huge difference. And then we had the pilot project go through, which allowed for us to actually give a quote unquote like full scholarship or scholarship outside of tuition and fees. So I'm not sure you knew that, like we actually are able to give more than tuition and fees now. And for a while there, I don't know, that pilot project seemed to last for 8 years. It's just kind of coming to a conclusion, unfortunately. But the other big thing it did there is allowed transfers to come back and not sit out a year. Because I know there's a lot of players that were unhappy with either what program they were homesick, whatever it was, didn't connect. New coach came in, wasn't as connected with that coach and wanted to change, but they stayed in the NCAA because they're close in their junior year, or hey, I don't want to give up, the scholarship or this opportunity to go back, and I don't want to sit out a year when I go back to Canada, because that's what they had to do previously. So when that change came in, I think that really opened up a lot of the doors. You look on a lot of the programs now across Canada, they all have transfers, or they all have a lot of players, across Canada that, and it just makes it more, more like easy, not more easily
flexible.
It's more flexible, and it's for a player to come across and to just go right in and transition and not have to sit out a year. That's been a big change. So I think that the custom with being able to give out more, then we work extremely hard here on fundraising. So I've quadrupled our scholarship budget since I've been here. It was we were the bad news bears when I got here. Our equipment didn't match. We didn't have a team stick deal. The players were given $250 to go to the sports store down the road, and that was it. That's what they got for the year. You went into the equipment room that we had at the time and find a pair of pants that fits and a pair of gloves from whoever graduated last year. and that's what you're using this year. We had one of our leading scorers, I remember in our first year, using a mic and stick. And it's just, it was amazing just the things you had to kind of do and to kind of continue to build a program that can compete against Division I programs. And so now we've built it where everybody gets, their equipment, their skates, or everything paid for, their sticks. And so the athletic department has increased opportunities here for us, and across Canada. And then as well as we've put in the work and we've gone out and got sponsors, and Third Space has been a big sponsor here. We've had our Old Birds that kind of help out. It's an amazing group of a group that supports our team. And we've just gone out and found a lot of different areas, gets corporate sponsors and fundraisers. And we've had the Hamilton family has been amazing, Linda Hamilton, to build an endowment here to give opportunities and scholarships to our players. And so we've just really worked hard, and we've had amazing people give into our program, and that's what's really helped get it to the next level, because you need that financial support, to compete against the best for recruiting and to offer what the Division I schools are offering. So that's what we've really worked hard to do. And when I was here, like I said, there's maybe 5 or 6 players that are even on scholarship with tuition scholarships, and now everybody gets some sort of scholarship and assistance in our program. And so I think those changes in Canada and those changes at UBC specifically have allowed us to kind of excel and bring in better athletes and provide better opportunities.
So now with the Seattle Kraken being nearby, do you think it's only a matter of time till an American player comes and plays at UBC?
Yeah, we've had one duel, I believe one in our time here. Athlete, we've had international athletes and, that play on international teams and still playing. And so we've been lucky that way. And I think even with Rylan McKinnon this year, she's going to the PWHL camp in Toronto here soon and getting ready for that. And so we're hoping to have the first, PWHL athlete come out of UBC, and just kind of to continue to break down those barriers and get those opportunities. And so we've got some great leaders and players that have done that in the past. And but yeah, sorry, back to your question. I went off a tangent there a little bit. But yeah, the hockey is just continuing to grow out here in BC. It's continuing to grow out here on the West Coast, and in Seattle and Washington, we're seeing some incredible young female players in the system, playing boys, playing girls, and the new leagues that are created out here. And it's like, wow, these players are amazing. And so yeah, I'm hoping that we'll definitely be able to attract some Washington players to come up and play for us one day.
Great. So last couple of quick questions. What do you look for when you're recruiting?
It really depends. And we do really, look at the intangibles, like I said, that, you want to bring in great people, and that'll help make a great program and help with our culture here, which I believe, is something we've got a great reputation for. And so it starts with kind of looking at the individual, looking at the person, and looking at their academics. They have to be able to hang with the academic challenges that come with being one of the top schools in the world and going to one of the best institutions in the world. You got to be able to do handle on the academic side and have those skills as well. So there's that piece of it. And then every year it just depends, like what are we losing, and then what are we got to bring in? Is it defensive defenseman? Is it someone on penalty kills, a power play, is it right-handed, left-handed? But I do think just having part of our identity here is like resilient, respect, and relentless. And I think those players need to have those qualities in both an individual and in a team, setting, and show those and how they train and what they do and how they carry themselves. So I think that's that character. We have a lot of captains here that were captains in previous programs that have come in. That is something we're looking at, leadership qualities and abilities. And then, it's shifted. We were big on size there for a while, and strength, is our league in the Canada West is pretty physical. And, and now the game's just getting faster and faster. And I think we're looking for more hockey IQ and speed. And so it kind of depends on what role we're looking to fill, but also just in general, I'd say probably that's the skating, the speed ability, and the game's getting so fast. And so they got to be able to skate the game and be fit off the ice. And then same thing with the hockey IQ piece of it. So those would probably be a couple of the key ones we look at.
Perfect. All right. Last question. What advice do you have for players who want to come play at UBC?
I think I just keep your options open. I'd say look at what do you want to do when you're finished, all said and done, or heaven forbid, or you have a career-ending injury, and you need to be happy with whatever school you pick. You need to be, hey, regard if hockey's taken away, am I happy with the choice I made? Am I happy with where I am? Am I supported? Can I excel here? Are there a lot of things on campus I can get involved with, as a program that I'm in? One thing about a big institution, like UBC is that it offers a lot. We've had a lot of players that come here that are like, oh, I really want sciences, or I really want business. And then they get here and they get their first year going and I want nothing to do with business. I want nothing to do with sciences. And they completely change what they want to do, what they want to major and minor in. And now after kind of the post-COVID stuff too, we've got a lot of, masters and program players that are coming here and getting into those programs. So one thing at UBC that's really good has a strength is you got a lot of options. There's almost anything you want to do, from being a marine biologist to, whatever it is in your life that you want to do and pursue. We have that option here. We have that, avenue for you to go and to study and to make sure that you're on that path for what you want to do. And yes, the professional game, we have players playing in Sweden and Switzerland and Germany and all around the world that are going over there. And this PWHL is incredible for the game, incredible opportunities, but it's still, as far as like the percentage of players and that, it still is hard, very hard to get those spots, very hard to play at that level, and to make a living in women's professional hockey right now. That's the reality of it. Is it growing there? Is it getting there? Will it get there? I believe so. But right now, that's the realities of it. And so I think the advice would be to really look at the career, the academic path. How will this help me develop as a person, this program I'm picking? And so I just make your pros and cons list, and then really match them up across the programs across North America. And you just don't want to have, here's what I want to do, here's the strengths, but I'm getting a good financial offer, scholarship offer to go down to the school. Well, is that the best decision long term for you? Are you going to be unhappy in years 2 and 3 when you're starting to think about the next steps in your life, and what I'm taking right now, or this arts degree, or this, really is not going to help me out, or I don't want to live in the States, or it's hard to get a visa or get a job. It is just part of the reality. And like I said, there's pros and cons. Nothing against NCAA. They've got their pros and and definitely, there's things there that are opportunities there that are for players. But in Canada, there's a lot of great opportunities too. And there's a lot of great opportunities for their 5 years that they get to play, but also life after hockey as well. So just really make sure it's a good fit for you. Everybody's different. Don't get caught up in, I guess, the hype, or just seeing the stars or the glamour of the NCAA Division I. There's a lot of great schools, a lot of great programs, across all of North America in different leagues that can be a great fit for you and help set you up for success in your life.
Perfect. Yes, exactly. And you also have the mountains an hour and a half away to go skiing. So that's
Yeah,
the other beauty of it.
exactly.
You didn't even mention that. You didn't mention the skiing.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. I describe it, UBC as a small town inside a big city. You really just kind of feel like you're on a campus and you're isolated. But if you want to go shopping, you want to go downtown, you want to go to Canucks game, you want to go to a concert, you want to go to Whistler, you want to go to the island, you want to go whale watching, whatever it is, you got that access. So it's a pretty amazing, incredible place. But
well, Graham, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We covered a heck of a lot of territory here. We talked about your skill development background, Syracuse, UBC, recruiting. So, hey, this was an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me on, and I love what you're doing here. Love listening and learning from others, and let us know if there's anything else you can do in the future. And thanks for having me on.
I really want to thank Graham for joining me on the podcast. He shared some amazing stories about the Stanley Cup, getting the job at Syracuse, revitalizing the Thunderbirds program, and how he recruits players. You can connect with Graham on the UBC Women's Team website or via his Champs app profile. Links to both are in the show notes.